I have thus far in the Western peace traditions looked at the Jewish tradition of war, peace, touched on the Greek tradition of war, peace, but I have also included in these series the First Nations tradition drawing from Pauline Johnson's Legends of Vancouver. I've looked at two so far, the sisters, or the chief's daughters, the two sisters or two daughters, and then also touched on Siwash Rock. Both those stories deal with one, large elements of war and peace between tribes, which is what the chief's daughters are about. Or the second one, Siwash Rock, is what does it mean to have a family and relationships in which there's integrity and not war and not clashes. And sometimes in certainly the Siwash Rock, the clash between what the gods, who don't at a certain point don't seem to have the ethical integrity of the chief, and when the chief engages them in trying to be clean in terms of integrity with his wife and the child about to be born. The third one I want to look at is called The Recluse. The Recluse is the story of, and it was very odd for many First Nations people to have twins, and it was seen as problematic if one had twins. So a chief is married, his wife has twins, and this causes great consternation within this particular band because twins are a bad omen. And so the band comes together to decide what should be done in terms of dealing with these twins. And it's finally decided that the chief should go away for 10 days, fight the evil spirit, because where there's twins, the argument was there's evil about to come. The twins represent this potential threat to the band, the tribe, the people, and the chief, who is the leader, is the one who must confront this potential evil through going alone and facing himself and the threat to the community. And so the band comes together, the medicine man, the leaders, and all of them. The chief agrees that he will go away for 10 days and do battle in silence with the threat to the community of which the twins, as a metaphor, seem to represent. Now the chief mishears or misreads the guidance of the band, and he confuses 10 days for 10 years. And so the children grow up, the twins which are finally born, they grow up without a father, with the story that dad was gone, mother band has to raise them, and so the family is broken in that sense. So in that sense, the recluse, he lives as a recluse. The chief builds his own home, fishes, hunts, survives for 10 years. But the family is broken. So in that sense, the recluse is a companion story to the Siwash Rock story. One, the beginning of a relationship, but where does it go after that? Here you have in the recluse the story of a chief having to leave his band, thinking he's defending them against a threat to their dissolution and destruction, but misreading and misunderstanding the 10 days that becomes 10 years. And so you get this sense of a leader who's separated from his family, very, very similar in many ways to the Greek story, again, of going to war, father, family, children separated. What does that mean for family dynamics when there is the nature of, for certainly for First Nations and elements of the Greeks, the tradition that the family is the primary unit of justice and of peace, bringing together, and what happens when that unit, that family compact in a sense, dissolves. As the children grow, they're constantly asking, where is dad, what's happened? Well, he's dead, he's disappeared, the 10 days is up, he'll never come back. But there is the longing of the sons to see their father again, this longing to be reunited. Meanwhile, in the mountains, the 10 years comes up, and the father sees the great thunderbird, it appears, that alerts him to the fact the time is up of his being a recluse, of protecting the tribe against evil, and now it is time to return. Meanwhile, the two twins, they relentlessly long to be united with their father. And of course, this is a perennial story, the relationship of fathers and sons, and how do they relate. And what happens when there's a breakdown between how fathers relate to sons and sons relate to fathers. There's the longing for unity and yet often disunity and insensitivity and not hearing one another properly, distancing. How does one overcome that and bring about a unity again? So the young boys, twins, they tell their mother, "We believe Dad is still alive." And so they start out in search of their father, believing that somehow the stories they are told are not true. Meanwhile, the father has seen the thunderbird. It dies on the rocks, which is a sign. The sign has come to him that he's returned. And so the story of the recluse is someone moving from a position of being a recluse, the isolated person who thinks what they're doing is right. You can find this even in workaholic fathers who are not there for their children, men who are not sensitively there for their children, some who are doing what they think there is right, but they're not there for their children. And then it is the sons really who come to find their father. The father has a wake-up call with the thunderbird, knowing the time has come he must face his distance from the family, from the children. The two boys come to meet him, and there is a great reunion. And so the recluse, the mode of the recluse, the isolation, the separation, which can be literal, i.e. in the mountains, by the rivers and the streams, but the metaphorical one of people where they isolate themselves for one another in the name of what they think is right. It can be a good, or it can be from cynicism, skepticism, past hurts in their life, but they become an internal recluse. And so the story of the recluse is about overcoming that internal war, about how others are treated, and bringing together the peace of family reunion again. And so we can see this third story, the recluse, is once again about overcoming internal wars, misunderstandings, misreads for the purpose, in this case, of family peace, yet once again between the sons and the mother and the chief and the tribe.